Smash has always had a lot of speculation on what characters will make it into the next game, and it's always fun to be part of that speculation. There's a possibility we get a new Smash game in the next couple years, so I decided to combine all my thoughts since the Smash Ultimate DLC wrapped up with Sora. So I got together 10 characters that I would want to appear as playable in the next game. This list does assume that no specific characters were cut, so for example a Pokemon is probably not cut, so I want to narrate this Pokemon instead. Remember to subscribe, and here's my list of Smash characters I would want in the next game. I don't really know the age rating rules for a character getting Smash, but we have Snake in the game, so I think this pick's okay. And that pick is Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. I think the thing I'd like to see about this character would be his moveset. You get the Ice Shower or the Ice Clone as moves, and you would have to do his Fatality for his final Smash, although that might be a bit too violent, so they might have to figure something out else instead. In my opinion, Mortal Kombat is the second most important arcade fighter ever released after Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat basically created the age rating system for gaming, along with Night Trap, and with Smash being both a gaming celebration and a fighting game, I think we should get the mascot of one of the most famous fighting games of all time as a playable character. Now I don't have a ton to say on this one, but all I'm going to say is that I love Celeste, and I would love to have Madeline in the game. I think I like this pick because, I just liked Madeline as a character and their game, instead of having a cool moveset idea or some cool gimmick, but I do have a few ideas. Of course you'd have to have a dash as a side B and a recovery, or maybe a projectile that's a feather or a strawberry. Just basing the character on dashing would be a neat and interesting mechanic that no other character in Smash really has, and an indie rap in Smash is something highly requested, and I feel like this would be a great one to have. I don't know how relevant Bubsy is these days, or how many people know who he is. I mean, he was recently added to the SNES Online for Switch, so you might know him from there, but if you don't, Bubsy is from his platformer series in the 90s, Bubsy and the Cloud Encounters of the Third Kind, where Bubsy the Bobcat protects the planet's yarn balls from aliens. But Bubsy is most remembered for those quips he would say at the start of a level.
What could possibly go wrong?
I think his moveset would be him based around throwing yarn and moving on really fast, maybe working as a bit of a zoner. And they could give him fall damage like he has in his original games. Yep, they made a platformer with fall damage. I just think this character would be a great representation for sort of the 90s mascot platformer boom when everyone just tried to copy what Mario and Sonic were doing. They are doing a new Bubsy game soon, so maybe this is a reason they put him in. I know it's controversial, but in my opinion we don't really need Waluigi in Smash. We already have a ton of Mario reps, and until Waluigi makes his first mainline appearance that isn't in Mario Maker as a costume, I'm fine with having a different character instead. That character being Captain Toad. Not only are Toads extremely important to Mario and recognisable, but if we got specifically Captain Toad instead of more regular Toad, Peach should keep her move where she brings out Toad as a shield. This would also mean the game Captain Toad is represented. His moves could be using a pickaxe, a ground pound, he could pull up turnips like Peach. Maybe Captain Toad could be a mix between both the Captain Toad games and Toad's appearances in the Mario 2D platformers. I know this is a highly represented pick, but a Pokemon trainer who has a starter trio whose generation is not represented in Smash. So the Pokemon are either from Gen 3, 5, 8 or 9. I'd be fine with any combination of starters, but preferably one where the final stage is not a fire type, as we already have 2 of them, but we also have a water type with Greninja. Personally, I think the best trio would be Mudkip, Combusken and Sceptile, but you could do anything and it would work. You could do West from Pokemon Colosseum and have the player switch between Espeon and Umbreon, which would be really cool. I know we already have a Gen 2 rep in Pichu, but that's just kinda Pikachu again, and a proper Gen 2 rep would be nice. We need another Kirby character in Smash. The last ones added were DDD and Meta Knight and Brawl, and with Kirby being one of Nintendo's most popular franchises, I can pretty much guarantee that we'll see a Kirby character in the next game. And the most requested character, and the one I think who makes the most sense, is Bandana Dee. I think a good reason for this character is that the fact they're a spear fighter, which is an archetype Smash famously does not have. So it'd be great to see Smash finally have that type of character. Waddle Dees are already really popular, sort of being the Goombas of the Kirby franchise. I mean, they have their own amiibo, they're on a ton of merch, so it'll be great to see them finally represented. Now the next one's going to be 2 characters. I think they have an equal chance to get in, but I think one of them's definitely going to get in. And those 2 characters are Urbosa and Sidon. Breath of the Wild is a masterpiece, and I was surprised we never got a new character from that game in Smash. Sure, Link got redesigned to have the bombs, but one of these 2 characters would just make sense to be playable. They're 2 of the most liked characters in the game, and from the other champions, we already have Link, and as much as I like Daruk and Revali, I think one of these 2 is just more likely. Of course, Sidon's a Trident fighter, which is kind of just a spear fighter, so again, that's an archetype we don't have, and it's always great to have more non-Link Zelda reps in Smash, especially since most of them are Link. If I was to say which one's more likely, I think there's a better chance we get Urbosa over Sidon, but I would be fine with either, and I think it's pretty much guaranteed we're going to get one of these 2. I've read people say they don't want this, but I also don't play Fortnite, but it's so important to gaming as a whole that I can't help really badly want a Fortnite character in Smash. Now I don't know the difference between this guy and whoever that guy is, but I think the best choice is Jonesy, who's the mascot of Fortnite and from what I could gather the main character in the lore, whatever the Fortnite lore is. They would have to integrate building somehow, but that might be a bit harder to do than it was to get Steve's. Maybe giving him boogie bombs, or a pickaxe, or a shopping trolley for the rest of his moveset. Cuphead is one of the greatest 2D games ever created, and I would love to have Cuphead in Smash. Choosing two weapons before battle on the fighter select screen and switching between those two in the match would be such a cool gimmick. He could also have the dash, or the smoke bomb charm as recovery. Parrying would have to be incorporated somewhere in there as a mechanic, as well as the EX cards. His final smash could be one of his super arts, probably just the first one as it's the most iconic. His costumes could also have Mugman and Miss Chalice as alts. And of course he got a Mii costume which boosts his chance of getting in. But there is one character I'd like to see more. I know it sounds weird when I say it like this, but I would love to have a Tetrimino in Smash. I never fully realised this character's potential until I saw this ultimate mod by Hudson360, and it just clicked into place. Like a Tetris block. But I know Sakurai loves a joke character. Piranha Plant, Wii Fit Trainer, Game & Watch, and Tetrimino would be a great fit. The gameplay just works so well, if they just did it exactly like this mod, I would be so happy. This would become my main. He's such a funny character. This is a Tetris block. Tetris is also one of the highest selling games of all time and one of the most iconic games of all time. You ask people who don't really play video games to name a video game, it's probably going to be Tetris. And a Tetrimino would be such a funny character as the next character we add to Smash Bros. Especially if they have the trailer to be like hyping up some other character that everyone wants and then suddenly boom, Tetris block. But Tetrimino is my most wanted character for Smash 6. So that's my top 10 characters I would want added to Smash. Please remember to subscribe and comment your picks or any opinions on mine in the comments below. Thank you for watching and subscribe.